Hi, I'm Ashley Budd from the Alumni Affairs and Development Digital team, and this is a crowdfunding training #1, content strategy for Cornell crowdfunding. This session is going to include an introduction of our platform called ScaleFunder. It will include a demo of the platform. I'll go over some best practices for crowdfunding content, give you a timeline for your crowdfunding project, and give you a place to go if you have any questions. So if we jump into the ScaleFunder demo, the first place that I'm going to take you to is crowdfunding.cornell.edu. This is our homepage for all of our crowdfunding projects. You'll see projects that have been up in the past and projects that are currently running on the homepage here. And there are 2 pieces of content that you need to put together for your homepage image. There's the small graphic image that shows up when your project is running. And there is a short 1-sentence description that you'll need to come up with for your project. And that's it for the crowdfunding homepage. There's a whole lot more that you'll want on your project page. And I'll walk you through a project page. Let's choose the Cornell Cinema project. On your project page, you will have a place for a video. You will have a progress bar that shows the goal that you've set and a countdown for how many days you have left for your project. There is a place to show project owners. So if you are the project team lead, you'll want to include a photo of yourself here and any of your other project team members. I believe you can add up to 4 or 5 different people here as project owners. And if you click on any of these people, you'll see a bio for them. So you can add a little bit more about yourself, an email address, or any social media places that you want to connect. Fun fact about yourself, short bio description. You can also add links or web pages. If you don't want to be the spokesperson for your campaign and you rather have your organization show up as a project owner, you can include just a logo for your organization and use the same feature to add in a description about your organization and a link to your organization website if you have one. Your project page is also going to include some social share buttons. These are automatically populated for you. There's nothing special you need to do about them, but you could create your own custom URL, and I'll show you where you can do that when we get into the project admin. Every page is going to have donation buttons. If your project's not running, they'll be grayed out like this. When your project's live, they'll be red, and you'll be able to click through to make a gift. When you are logged in as an admin, you'll see these green edit buttons showing up across your page. Of course, these wouldn't show up if you were not a project administrator. There's a couple important pieces of content that you'll need to work on for your project before it goes live. The first one is your video. If you don't have a video, you can put a photo as a placeholder here until your video is ready, but we recommend that all projects do go live with a short, up to 3-minute video, and I'll talk more about that in this presentation. You'll also need a description of what your project is. So to complement your video, you'll want to come up with a longer description of the project. It's really important to make this clear for people who are just skimming through. So adding headers and breaking up the text with some photos can be really helpful for people who are trying to get the gist of what your project is without reading everything in incredible detail. This project did a really good job of incorporating videos and links to more information. The next thing on your project page is giving levels, and you can customize as many giving levels as you want. We recommend at least 5 different levels, and you can set the amounts. We recommend no lower than $10 as your starting gift. And then you'll be able to add a fun descriptor for each giving level and a short description of where the money might go if someone were to give at that level. couple other things on the page. You'll see an update tab. In this update tab, you can share the progress of your campaign. Every time you create an update, an email is going to be automatically generated to the donors who've already given. And you can add all sorts of things in here. You can add videos, you can add photos, and it's really important to kind of keep your donors up to date on how the campaign's going. And others that are just browsing your project will want to see a little bit more detail of how the project's going, what else they can do to help. You'll find that after you have a core base of donors, that those people will in fact turn around and help you reach your goal if you give them updates about the campaign progress. So we'll talk more about how you can use that in the second training when we talk about communication strategy. And then the last piece of your project page here is your donor wall. Everyone will have this enabled for their project, and donors can choose whether or not they want their name and donation amount to be visible. They could make their donation hidden, or they can make their name anonymous and show their donation. So that's a little bit about the project page. We talked about where the video goes, your project team members that you'll want to highlight. Every project team member that's visible on the page is someone who you could reach out to if you include an email address or more information about the project team member, but you will want to assign one person to be the lead for the project, and that means that this person would get assigned the project page thank you message. I'll show you where this is in the admin. It's kind of hard to visualize without seeing exactly where this goes, but essentially one person that you've created a bio for, there is a section that you can create a thank you message, and when someone makes a gift, that thank you message from that person is going to show up on the confirmation page. So I didn't show you that yet, but I will show you where that goes. Then you also have the long description that I showed, where you want to think about breaking out that description with headers and photos. I showed you where the updates are and the different giving levels that you'll be able to create. Some of the other features that were on the page are a progress bar to show your campaign progress. A custom URL is available if you are going to share your page on maybe a print material. You might not want the /project and all of the funky numbers that come with the URL that you're given. So I'll show you where that goes in your settings tab. I did show you that there are social media buttons that show up on your page. You can also add a custom hashtag to those if that makes sense for your project. Otherwise, we recommend using the hashtag Cornell Crowdfunding. I showed you that you'll have donation buttons and plenty of them. Everyone will have the donor wall enabled. You will have some automatic confirmations that work with your crowdfunding page. The first will be an on-screen confirmation after someone has made a gift. They'll be sent to a confirmation page that will show that project lead thank you message. And then it will also encourage them to share your project on social media. Automatically, an email will be generated from the crowdfunding platform, and you can choose who you want that email to come from and who you want any of your project updates to come from. I'll show you where to do that on the settings tab. Later, after the gift is processed by Cornell, they will receive that official tax document and any other official communications from the university, depending on where the gift was designated to. So people will be thanked automatically, and then they'll be thanked and given their tax receipt through normal Cornell channels. Okay, the next piece I want to show you is the ScaleFounder admin. And you can access the admin anywhere on crowdfunding.cornell.edu. Up in the top right-hand corner, there's this little hamburger-looking menu. When you click on that, you can click to sign in if you're not signed in already. If you are signed in, you'll see that you can access the admin panel. If you haven't been given admin access to your project yet, let us know. We'll get you assigned to that, get your project set up. So when you log in, you will be on your project page dashboard. I'm showing you the dashboard for the Cornell Cinema project that recently ended. And so you'll see that they actually do show progress towards their campaign here. The first place you want to start is your settings tab. This is all of the basic information about your project to get it started. So you'll see that we set this up with some generic content for you already after based on your application that you submitted for us. All projects you don't want to touch the project status. This is going to update automatically. Since this project is finished, you'll see that it's in the stewardship phase, but your project as you're working on it will be in kind of a pending progress phase until your go live date. The project type for everyone should be set to levels. These are giving levels. We're not creating projects with perks, and we're not creating evergreen projects, so everyone should have this automatically set to levels. The project title is probably in there based on your application. If you want to change this, go right ahead. The short description is that one line, one sentence description that shows up on the Cornell Crowdfunding homepage along with the tile image that you'll upload. This is the section where you'll add your print URL or a custom URL. You can make this anything that you want. Your appeal ID and fund number is something that we can help you put in there. So if you don't know what those are, don't worry about that. We'll help you get that sorted. You don't need to have your group set unless you are one of our partners, Weill Cornell Medicine. You can change this Twitter hashtag if there's a better hashtag that makes sense for your project, but otherwise you can add Cornell Crowdfunding or leave it in there if we've done that already for you. There are a few places to add GIFs. The first thing you want to do is add your goal that you're fundraising for. You can add that here, and it's going to be, for most of you, it'll be a dollar amount that you're raising funds for. If you have a participation goal, if you're just looking to get maybe 100 people to make a gift to your fund, you could change this to a participant goal and then add the number of participants you want to have for your campaign. This total offline gifts section and gift amount can be used if you have a gift that comes in outside of the crowdfunding platform from a donor who doesn't necessarily want to participate in the crowdfunding experience. And in that case, you would add the one gift from that person and the dollar amount that they made their gift. They wouldn't show up on the donor wall. They wouldn't receive any communication that you send out through updates, but their gift would be reflected in the overall total on your campaign page. You'll see that your donor wall is enabled and that you can set a begin date and time and an end date and time. We recommend the 30-day duration for any of your campaigns, and we'll work with you to make sure that you're setting your crowdfunding project in a time frame that works well with you and your audience. This update sender section is where you can add a personalized sender name to any of your campaign updates and your confirmation messages. If you use the default, it's going to say that the email is coming from Cornell Crowdfunding. If you want it to come from you, just click personalize sender name and add your name there. That's it for the settings tab. There are a few other things that I want to show you in the Scale Funder admin. The first is the content section. This is where you can upload images and videos. Then I'll show you where you can add the description for your project and your team members in their bios. A couple other things that we'll look at are the giving levels, how to add other people to your project if you need a hand, and then I'll quickly show you the updates tab. So if we move over to content, the content tab here on the left-hand side has an option for media. And you can see here that the cinema project has all of their media uploaded. The tile image, project tile image, is a small 300 by 170 pixel image that shows up on the crowdfunding homepage. If your project's fully funded, we'll give you a fun little banner like this when it gets funded. But to start, pick an eye-catching image that you think will stand out on the homepage for your project. I think the cinema one was a lot of fun. And there is a tool that you can use in here to recrop to the right dimensions if your photo doesn't fit just right. There are two other media types that you can add here, either the main project image. This is what's going to show on your project page. So if you flip over to the project page, it would show up in this section. It's this large image. You're not seeing this large image on the cinema page because they've enabled a video instead. So this is where you would add your crowdfunding video. You can add either a YouTube link or a Vimeo link here, and then you just toggle over to have the video on your project page instead of the photo image there. Anytime you want to update your page on any of these admin tabs, you just click that green submit button to update it. So the next section I'll show you is the project description. There is this pretty simple editor here to format your project description. If you have any trouble with this, please reach out to us. We're happy to get in there and make sure your photos are fitting right and that the formatting of the text looks correct. But it's a pretty simple, what you see is what you get kind of editor. At any time that you're editing your project, you can preview it with this project preview button. This is what I clicked on earlier to show you the homepage. If you click on project preview, it's going to open your project in a new tab. So as you're working on the description, it's a really helpful button to use. You just submit anytime you want to save what you're working on and click preview project to see how that looks. Okay, the last section in the content tab is your project bios. You add a new person by clicking new project bio, add their name and title, and click add. And after you've added someone, you'll see that you can add a whole lot more about them. So these are the project owners that you saw on the cinema page. You can upload a small photo for each person. Their name is required, email address is optional, title is optional. Mary's the main creator for this project, which means she's the person that is assigned the thank you message. When someone makes a gift to the cinema project, they would see Mary's photo and her name and her title pop up with this thank you message on the confirmation screen at the end. It can be really simple. Thank you so much for your contribution. We truly appreciate it. That's a perfect thank you. She did add other fun facts in a bio about herself. And you can see that you can add things like a Facebook page, Twitter handle, a website, or a LinkedIn profile, and those icons would show up on the bio itself. You can add, I believe, up to 4 people in this section to show up on your project page. Okay, the next section I wanted to show you was the giving levels. It's really easy to add giving levels. You can see that this project added 8 of them. When you create a new giving level, just click this button. You want to set it to be active to show up on your page. Give the giving level a short name, description, and the donation amount. You can see what one of those looks like filled out. Really simple. And then the last 2 pieces I wanted to show you were collaborators and updates. You'll see that there's other tabs in here that we'll get to when we do the communication content strategy training. Can actually show you quickly the donations tab and reports tab. When your project's live, you'll see that you'll get a little bit of insight in the reports tab of what's happening. This is the progress from the cinema campaign. You can see that they had blips in their project where they were getting more donations than other days. And I can tell you that those directly correlate with times that emails were sent out. So we'll talk more about that in the communication training. Your donation list, you'll be able to see all of the donors, their names, their email addresses, the donation amount, even for those who had given anonymously. This is where you can get that list of people and you can download a CSV file of those folks anytime during your campaign. Okay, back to our job. Collaborators. If you need help with your project at any time and you want to add team members to your project, go ahead and invite them as a collaborator. Just add their name and email address and invite collaborators here. And then you can decide what kind of permissions you want to give them. If this is someone that's just going to help you edit content, but they don't need to see the donors or manage other people, you can check these boxes and they'll just get access to those items. Later, I'll show you how to add ambassadors and send them email updates about the campaign to help you with your fundraising. But the last piece I'll show you today is the project update section. This is the updates tab that you saw on your project page. There's two ways to publish. You can create a project update and you're adding a title, the same kind of WYSIWYG editor here for the body of the update. You can choose whether this is something that everyone can see on your website, or if this is a message that's just going to donors, then you can select only donors who have given can see this. This is also where you can add a video to a project update. Just add the link there, or you can add an image by clicking add image here. And when you submit that, it's published. You can't really go back to edit that easily, so you want to make sure that you are sure you want to publish it and that it's ready to go. Again, there's a way to change the update or update who is sending these. And at a glance, you can see whether this is a message that just went to donors, if it included a video, etc. The other way that you can provide project updates is to schedule them out. So you might want to share a little bit more storytelling about your campaign. You have a few stories that you know you want to share ahead of time. Get that work done ahead of time and then schedule the updates to go out as you go. So you can choose who these emails are going out to individually, the sender and the reply address, the subject of that email, and the content of the email will get posted here. Again, this is going out to donors. All right. That's everything I wanted to show you on the admin dashboard. I want to take a little bit of time to talk about best practices for your campaign and your content. The piece of content that will probably take you the most amount of time is your crowdfunding video. The video itself doesn't have to be a long video, but it does take a long time to even put together a 1-minute video. So start working on that now if you haven't started thinking about it already. We recommend that the videos be no longer than 3 minutes. And this is from many, many crowdfunding campaigns that we've worked on. We've looked at the video analytics and we see that people don't watch videos much longer than 3 minutes. So if you have a longer video and you have an important message that you're saying, like, please make a gift to our campaign, that comes in around the 4-minute mark, it's unlikely that people will actually even hear you say that. So we recommend no longer than 3 minutes. If you can say what you need to say in 1 minute, that's great. We recommend that you use team members, use people that are working on the campaign or people that will benefit from the money that you're fundraising for. It's also really helpful if you can make your point in the first 10 seconds of your video. So start with your ask, start with what you're asking for. And if you do this really well, you can actually clip out that first 10 seconds and use it in social media to promote your campaign while it's running. If at all possible, show people a little bit about what you're fundraising for. Some projects do have a lot of visuals that make it really interesting. Some projects are really complex to describe, and so showing rather than telling makes it easier and quicker to get your point across. And don't forget to ask. Don't forget to say that you need this money, and be really upfront about that. Don't be afraid, and don't forget to get that ask in there. For your project descriptions, this is the longer description and the short description that are on the project. Try for your short description to summarize what your project is in just one sentence. We will have people that will land on crowdfunding.cornell.edu and simply browse the projects there. So you want to have a clear statement about what your project is for people that are just glancing or browsing those projects. The longer description is where you can add the more compelling details about why your project's important and why you need the funding. Save any extra details that maybe aren't the important compelling pieces, but are some interesting tidbits that are in the weeds. Save those for project updates that you can do later. Remember, when you're building out the project description, you want to make it easy for people to skim for information using big headers, and break up the text with visuals, any photos or diagrams or infographics and things that you can think of that might make it easier for someone to understand more about your project when they're just skimming through quickly. The next thing that you're going to need to work on is your giving levels. It's fun to think about these as impact items, and the way that even small gifts can make a contribution to your project. So start small. Think about a $10 to $25 impact item that you can create for your project, and then build up to a bigger amount. Don't be afraid to think big about $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 gift, if that makes sense for your project. And then consider tangible items that you might be purchasing. If your project doesn't make sense to purchase tangible items, then you might think about them as different transformative levels that you can use. You can browse some of the other projects that we've had that have done this in a really fun way. I can think of one that did a little bit of both. That was the Earth and Atmospheric Sciences project that launched last year. If I open this up, they use different cloud names for their giving levels. And you can see that the small amount wasn't anything tangible, but it did tell people that with just $25, you can become a friend of the lab. When they did get into some of the bigger ticket items, they were fundraising for the computer lab. So at a $2,000 level, this large Nimbostratus cloud, they would name a computer, put your name on the computer in the lab. So you can kind of think about your giving levels two different ways, either as that transformative tier-like structure or the more tangible items that you might actually be using the funds for. So think a little bit about that and try to make it fun. The timeline for your crowdfunding project moves pretty swiftly. When you are in your admin dashboard, it might be easy to fly through some of these items really quickly, and others you'll need to plan for. So 2 weeks before your project launches, here are some of the items that you want to have checked off. You'll want to have your team member photos and bios completed, add the thank you message from the project lead, complete the full description of your project, even if you're waiting to pull in a couple extra photos. Try to get those words down on paper at least 2 weeks before, and then get those giving levels in, at least 5 of them with short descriptions, 2 weeks before your project launches. The week before your project launches, put in some of the finishing touches, add campaign images, upload your video, and give us a nudge and we'll help you do a final copy edit. Make sure everything sounds clear, that there aren't any grammar mistakes that you missed. We're happy to lend a helping hand there. The next training that's coming up is going to help you walk through your communication strategy. So the sooner that you can get all your content set, the more time you'll have to build out your communication strategy, which is so important to reach your goal. In that communication training, we'll go over creating contact lists, crafting your ask message, how to send out your emails, thinking about pre-launch messaging. We'll have best practices that we provide for email. We'll also give you some templates. We'll give you a timeline for when those emails should go out, and then we'll talk about how to steward your donors after you reach your goal. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to the A&D crowdfunding team. You should all be paired with a team liaison that can help you. And we also have a lot of really helpful information on our crowdfunding toolkit, where you can find that. It's at it's at blogs.cornell.edu/crowdfunding. All right, good luck on your project, and we will see you at the next training.